Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Car Dealership Guy Industry Spotlight. I'm your host, Sam Dark. Coming up this episode, meet the fastest man on four wheels, maybe even in air. He just so happens to be a car dealer. Learn his mantra, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Plus, how this dealer overcame OEM recall chaos using texting, even without needing to opt in. Joining me today, Bob Tasca with the Tasca Automotive Group and Ryan Maher, President and CEO of BizzyCar. Thanks to BizzyCar for sponsoring this episode. Let's get into it. So, Bob, here at the Ziegler Auto Group, we love racing, and it is such a thrill to have you on because you love racing. You have the moniker of the fastest man, probably the fastest dealer, through your experience as a hot rod driver. Tell us a little bit about that and your record.
Well, hey, listen, I like to go fast, to say the least. It was about a year ago right now. We broke the all-time record of any human being on four wheels with a wheel-driven race car. We ran 341.68 miles per hour. It's still the record to date. An extraordinary accomplishment. No one thought we could break 340 miles per hour, particularly going from a quarter mile down to 1,000 feet. So it was exciting to do it. We've been chasing it ever since. We've been close over the last year, but I think we can actually run a little bit quicker at some point this season.
So we sponsor NASCAR, and as you pointed out, most of it's in a loop. It circles. You're a couple hundred miles an hour. You blow past us. Would you just tell us what's it like in that moment when you press go, when you press the gas? I don't know, what is there a button like you launch?
No, there's a throttle pedal. There's a throttle pedal, okay. And what I call the moment of truth, right before you go wide open, it's 12,000 horsepower. We're accelerating 0 to 60 miles an hour in a half second. We're accelerating to 100 miles per hour in under 1 second, about 0.8 of a second. And then once we pass half track, we're covering a football field every half second. So I tell people all the time, the speed is impressive, but everyone's been faster in an airplane. It's the acceleration rate of the car that is absolutely extraordinary. And if you ever get to an NHRA event and you see an object come by at 340 miles per hour, it's hard to explain.
Have you ever had, certainly you've been in situations where you could have turned into an accident, right? And you've had to avert disaster in the moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, listen, you drive these cars long enough and everything's going to happen to you. But I've had, major explosions, big fires. I've been very fortunate, knock on wood, in my career that I've walked away from all of them with as little as a scratch. But it's a dangerous deal. You gotta have a great team. You gotta have a great driver. And, NHRA gives us a great facilities around the country that we race at. And it's exciting. I mean, we win and lose races at 340 miles per hour in thousandths of a second. You're talking inches, to the point where sometimes I've lost races and I've looked at it like 10 times and said, man, I think I won that race, but I've been on the other side of it as well. So it's exciting. The season kicks off next month in Gainesville, Florida. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there.
So you drive the entire season. You're active.
Oh yeah. We had 20 races around the country. I drive the entire season, and I'm blessed with an incredibly talented group of guys on the road that, go from place to place, and I fly in and out to drive it.
So you're also a dealer. You're a senior executive in this large auto group. Tell us, what is the connection between racing and automotive?
Well, it's been incredible for our company. It started back in the 60s with my grandfather, and he coined the phrase, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. That was a phrase that he coined. He worked with Henry Ford II over the years to, build street Mustangs that you could go and buy and race on the racetracks. And he did that around the country. And then he got into professional NHRA racing with Ford and ended his career in funny car before I was born. So, I didn't get to be a part of any of that, but I was fascinated with what they did, throughout the late 60s into the 70s. And I just wanted to try it. And, years ago, just got into my first street Mustang and progressed up the ladder from there. And today we don't sell what we race, because these cars obviously go a lot faster than they did back in the 60s. But we use the platform, and the motto, win on Sunday, sell on Monday, is alive and well. We do a ton of activation at the racetracks with Ford Motor Company, PPG, and BG products. We do a ton of technician recruiting. The challenges we have with technicians across the country. And I speak to over 32,000 high schoolers a year on Fridays across the country in person. They come to the racetrack, 3,000 to 4,000 kids. And I spread the gospel on how great it is, the industry of becoming an automotive technician. And we have a bunch of Ford dealers that are at the racetrack on Friday, and the kids come back and meet with these dealers. Many of them are graduating, this year, the year that I speak. And we've hired thousands of technicians around the country for Ford dealers just by speaking and letting them know what an incredible career and industry this is, right? Because I get excited about it. I started as a mechanic. My grandfather started as a mechanic. And you come up through the back of the service departments, and, if you can fix a car, you can do anything in our industry. So for us, it's, I'm at the racetrack. I'm doing business. I got vendors flying in. I'm meeting dealers. And that's how we've grown from a single Ford store in East Providence, Rhode Island, to 35 rooftops across the country. We even got a couple stores in Chicago. But no, it's exciting. It's a great industry. I'm blessed to be in it.
I love it. Win on Sunday. Sell on Monday. And truly on that Sunday at the track, there's no place better and more electric than to be there. And it's interesting because we talk a lot about, as it relates to NASCAR in our car, we have a similar deal. We've got a message on the back of the car trying to recruit technicians. We find people can relate to that really well. Yeah. And when you see the execution that goes into NASCAR, goes into your former racing as well, the execution has got to be top notch to win. And it's the same execution in the store. And so I think employees get excited by it, and they also relate to it, don't they? It is about execution.
Yeah, it is. And I've taken so much from racing back to the dealerships. I describe it like this. I said, imagine going to a football game and nobody kept score. Like you go to a drag race and there's no win light. So in racing, it's win or lose. And I've always told people at the Sunday night when the race is over, there's 2 million people that know how Bob Tasca did. And that level of competition, that level of measurement and accountability in racing is unparalleled. So when you can apply that same type of accountability back at the dealership, that same scorecard, whether you're a technician, an advisor, an F&I manager, a sales manager, or a general manager, and we index everything in our company from first place to last place. Like literally, there's emails that go out that I send to salespeople, to service advisors, to managers, who's first, who's last. And I tell people all the time, it's okay losing. You just can't be okay losing, right? Like people lose. We fall, we drop the ball, and we got to figure it out. If you're okay losing, that's a problem, right? And in our company, you can run, but you can't hide. No matter who you are, if you're a productive person, we're measuring you, and where it creates that level of competition. And at the end of the day, those that want to compete do really well in our group. If you are okay losing, you're probably not going to last that long at the Tasca organization. But it all stems from racing because it's such an incredible magnifying glass of performance in that moment. And if you can bring that energy back to the dealership, you can only get better.
Well, I'm excited to see you race. What's your first race again?
So we race in Gainesville, Florida. It'll be on Fox Sports on March 7th, 8th, and 9th. So you got to check us out.
All right. I'm excited to check that out. And before we go into the topic of recalls, which is a challenge that plagues automotive, 818 is a number that has meaning to you from moments ago. Tell us about 818. Yeah. And I know in terms of airspeed, that's Concorde fast, Bob.
Yeah. So on top of going fast on the ground, I like to go fast in the air. I fly a Citation 10 Plus. I'm a pilot. I'm a captain in it. And I've flown for many years, all different planes. This happens to be the fastest airplane, non-military, that you can fly. And coming home from Kansas City, we have Gary Crosley Ford is a store that we own out in Kansas City. Great store, great group of people out there. We made it home in an hour and 40 minutes. We had a good tailwind, so we didn't actually break the sound barrier through the air, but we were supersonic over the ground at 818 miles per hour. That's as fast as I've ever been in the air.
Bob, I drove from Chicago to Kalamazoo today, and it took me three hours. So come on. It gives me comfort to know you were flying that fast. That is awesome. 818 miles an hour. It's beautiful. All right. So let's talk business. And we already have, but let's transition into recalls. Recalls are increasing at automotive right now. We're seeing more of it. And there is an obligation on us as dealers to help defend the customer. Talk to us about the challenges that are recalls in your organization, in automotive, period.
Well, I tell you, it's plagued the industry for many years. I got my good friend Ryan on the line with us. Everyone sees him. I remember getting a call from from this guy, never met him before. We had a mutual friend that hooked us up, and he gave me his pitch. And, we've all gotten hundreds of pitches over the years, most of which go by the wayside. And I got off the phone. I think it was with my wife. We're driving somewhere. I said, now that is a good idea. And basically for us, recalls is chaos. In a dealership, it's chaos. Do you have the part in stock? You don't have the part in stock. People calling you. How do you schedule them in? And what BizzyCar has done is they've put structure and process behind, let's be honest, very challenging thing in our industry. And that's recalls, because they get dropped on our head with no warning, and capacity. We're all constrained with capacity and parts. And how do you schedule them? And more importantly, how do we become more proactive rather than reactive? And the industry forever has been reactive. And what BizzyCar has been able to do is allow a dealer to be more proactive with absolutely little to no involvement with the store. And it's a funny conversation, because I remember Ryan and I talking about, training and how do we work with the managers. And I remember vividly, I told him, I said, Ryan, I don't even want you to call my managers. Like, I don't even want them to know that it's happening. Let's plug into the parts department so we know what we have in stock, and then just go to work. And that is the beauty of BizzyCar. Is you can turn it on with absolute little to no impact. I won't even say involvement, but impact. You're not sucking two people away to go manage this separate process and update this thing. It's seamless. It's a seamless integration. It just goes. And based on your shop loading, your capacity of your shop, you can tell it to make. I got some stores that are trying to make 10 appointments a day. I got some of my, maybe capacity constrained stores that are making 4 a day. But it has an unbelievable impact on profitability, because number one, you're doing the right thing. And there's nothing more important than trying to take safety recalls in your database and getting your customers' cars fixed, right? That's what we're all here to do. And then second, it does bring in customers in many cases that haven't been in the store in a long time. So we get to reconnect, and then we get to sell needed work to those vehicles. And, I think I'm one of the better ones on the platform for BizzyCar across the country of upselling needed work that the customer needs. So it's a win-win-win. And the ROIs, I think our group is 12 times ROIs on the platform. So I'm a big proponent of it. It was an incredible idea. I give all the credit to Ryan and his team and their execution. Most technology companies, execute at 10, 20%. They execute at 100. What they say they're going to do, they do.
So Bob, let's find out, Ryan, how big is this problem of recalls? Like at any given time, how many vehicles are subject to recall at any given time? And Bob made the perfect point, right? There's the challenge of parts and scheduling and making sure we connect that recall to the customer, and that we do it in a quick time so that we don't have liability sitting out there. How big of a problem is recalls?
Yeah, it's huge, Sam. 1 out of 4 cars on the road today has a recall. About 70 million vehicles throughout the United States. Just last year alone, we recalled 27.4 million vehicles, and we're not even 2 months into the year. We've recalled 2 million vehicles this year. So the scale of the problem is enormous. The dollars, you're talking about 22 billion a year of economic impact. And, Bob hit the nail on the head. One of the best, parts about this is a lot of these customers, they've never been inside of a franchise dealer. And so being able to get a couple million additional service visits a year that would otherwise not occur, that's turning a problem into an opportunity.
So this is so you're talking about recalls on customers you've sold, but you're also talking about recalls on a brand, and maybe they've never ever come in and visited with you in the past, which dealers don't think about. That customer that goes to Jiffy Lube and the independent repair facility, they can't get that recall done through the independent repair facility, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that's where Bob is. And, it only takes you about 2 minutes to spend time with Bob to realize this is a strong dealer who likes to win. And he's,
by the way, Ryan, how on earth did you get a hold of Bob? As fast as that guy, as fast as Bob moves, I want to know the trick there, because
we had to track him down. I think he probably got my resume. I was in the Marine Corps. We click on a lot of things.
Okay, that's what we do.
Very good.
You said something earlier, you can, in your organization, you can run, but you can't hide. And the Marine Corps, we say you can run, but you'll just die tired. So that's my the other way, which we like to say it. But Bob and I got connected, and there's dealers out there that just really like to win, and being able to bring customers back in that have either never been there before or it's been years. And, unfortunately, after that 3 years of buying a car, customers defect. I'm a car dealer. It's painful when you see the attrition rate fall off a cliff after that 5th or 6th service visit, right? Once prepaid maintenance is done, it's tough to retain those customers, and they have the ability to be really loyal and really lucrative. So if we can get them back in, it's great.
And I think another thing, and Ryan said it, what really attracted me to his model and his thinking, he's a dealer. Like, there's a lot of technology companies that try to ram things down our throat. They don't get it. They have a good idea, then they screw it up. Ryan is a dealer. His family, multi-generation dealers, and he got it. He realized the problem and came up with an incredible solution. And he's been very open-minded, whether it's me or other people giving him ideas and how do we make it better. And flat out, the product works. Turn it on tomorrow and you're going to be getting business within a couple days.
Bob, success isn't knowing what to do. Success isn't just having a good product. Success in automotive is execution. And you prove that with racing and flying and everything else you do.
Amen.
A good technology company, how often do we get hit up by people? They've got the best idea and horrible execution, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough to call someone's baby ugly and they get defensive, where Ryan has been a sponge of how do we tweak it? How do we make it better? And I'm here to tell you the best is yet to come with that company, because I know of other things they're working on. It's just, he's dealer centric, comes from a great dealer background, identified a problem, and now expanding on the solutions. It's just fantastic. I mean, we just recently turned it on our Audi Volkswagen stores. You guys just came live on.
And Kia.
And Kia. So, it's fantastic. Like, the managers in my group, when we have our calls and we show the BizzyCar and they're not on the platform, they're like, when do we get on the platform? Yeah. So it's awesome. And he's got pretty much coverage now across the whole spectrum.
So walk me through this, Ryan. So let's say, I've got a Toyota store. We have a Toyota store in Racine, Wisconsin. You got a Toyota store in Racine. There's a customer that buys a Toyota Camry outside of our dealership, but we would handle the recall if we could get a hold of them. We can't get a hold of them because we don't know who they are. They've never been to our store. You're saying you have a way or a technology or a communication or a platform to be able to connect that customer and that recall need back to us, bring them in and provide that service where we can then create an ultimate experience and retain them. Is that kind of part of the deal?
Yeah. Or conquest them, right? That's what you're looking for, is to be able to bring the customer in the store that's never been there before. I'll tell you, I was sitting at the racetrack with Bob 2 years ago. I mean, this is a true story. He's literally sitting about to go on the track, and he takes his headphones out and he goes, "Why are you training any of my people on how to use your product? Just turn it on, flip the switch.
Automate it." Yeah, automate it. Yeah.
You nailed it, Sam. It's the automagical element of this that's so compelling. There's a lot of vendors out there that try and do recalls, but it's just another shiny object. You know how many vendors I have in my auto group? I got to train them. I got to teach them. I got to log them in. I'm so tired. Oh, I'm locked out of such and such thing. Oh, it's bogus. Yeah. So we realized, just make it automated. Send the outreach to the customer, schedule into the DMS, check for parts availability. You got to connect the dots, right? It just needs to go all the way through. And there's a lot of other vendors in the space. They're like, yeah, we do recalls. I'm like, no, you don't. You're a data provider. Yeah. We're not a data provider. We're a solution platform. And so to answer your question, how do we go out there and get these other customers? We've done a lot of work the last few years to bring partners onto our platform that have never been involved in automotive before, so that we can connect the dots to bring those, to identify who those customers are. But here's the important piece. You got to get their cell phone number, because we text everybody. So that, is our kind of our proprietary secret sauce, if you will. But we've raised $30 million, and some of the people that are investing with us are part of that data equation.
But you can't text someone without opt-in.
You can. And that's the beauty to this. So recalls, are fully 100% exempt from TCPA. No marketing opt-in required. And as long as you do this with the recall compliant language, you are able to reach out to all 70 million of these customers. That's what Bob's saying. We're bringing customers into the store that haven't been there 600, 700, 800 days. Some of these luxury brands we work with, it's over 1,000 days. We work with huge publicly traded groups. And, we work with 44 out of the top 50 largest auto groups. And they are like, wait a second, you can't text these people. Of course we can. The exemption's right there. And we work with Toyota, GM, Kia, big brands. And, if they're going to work with us, the dealers are okay.
Yeah. And I'll say this about BizzyCar, because we've all been there and we look at the vendors and we cancel them. Like this one's $200 a month. This one's $1,000 a month. This one's $1,500 a month. He guarantees an ROI. And then, again, it goes back to his dealer hat. He's charging you in my opinion, a very reasonable price for a huge ROI. I haven't asked him what his churn rate is within his, dealers that sign up and then cancel. But I can tell you it has to be like minuscule, because why would you ever cancel something that your people don't have to do anything about? It just works and it gives you a 12-time return, in some cases more, on your investment. Like, that's a dealer guy creating a piece of technology.
Yeah. So what's the KPI you look at, Ryan, to gauge success in that recall?
Yeah, our hero metric, so the North Star, if you will, that is most important to us is ROI. And, we're all dealers here, right? If you're a dealer principal, if you're an owner, executive manager, you care about the dollars, right? That's what you pay attention to. Service advisor, service manager, maybe even fixed ops director, they're looking at appointment counts. That's important too. We share both, but it's the dollars. I need to know what's impacting my P&L. Am I going to make money this month with this product or not? And so we measure everything in terms of, if you pay me $1, I have to guarantee you 4 back. Most dealers are making 7. And, there's some dealers out there who just freaking love winning. We can dial it up for them. If you can handle it, man, there's nothing worse than going to a service manager saying, I can't take appointments at 2:00 in the afternoon on Friday. Of course you can. You just don't want to. And it's fingernails on the chalkboard, because I've sat in that seat, right? Bob grew up in the world, turning wrenches. I know, don't pull the wool over my eyes. If I walk into your service department at 2:00, you better be full.
Well, I asked Ryan a question last week, gave me the answer. So I want to know all my stores, how many appointments they making per day. And I found a couple that pissed me off. And I told my service director, change it. Don't even tell them. Go to 4 a day every day. Don't even tell them. And that's what we did, because exactly right. It's not that they can't do it. They don't want to do it. But that's the beauty of this software. You kind of set it and forget it. Let it just do its job. And then the beauty is, when it makes the appointment, writes it right into the system, and then the normal process occurs. Customer comes in, and the machine that we've created over 100 plus years goes to work. Writes the customer up, gets the car in, multi-point inspection, and the whole thing, the wheels start to turn. So it fills those holes, and it's a great piece of technology.
I don't want to overshare here, but Bob has one of the best CP per ROs on top of those recalls in the industry. But there is one dealer in Texas that Bob knows that is just unbelievable.
He's a little better, but remember, he's in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
That's right. It's good to have. You got to have somebody to compete against, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So ROI, $1, $4, somewhere between 4 and 6 or 7 in exchange for the one, and that's based on RO sales, right? So that's based on ROs brought in, or is that based on upsell on the ROs?
That's on the recall side. If you include the upsell, most dealers are in that 8 to 1.
We have stores 12 to 1. Yeah, we have stores in our group over 12 to 1.
So it's a partnership, right?
If you bring the customer back and you own them now, whereas you didn't even know who they were prior, that's tough to quantify too. Imagine you look at that.
Measure that, but I mean, let's be honest. If a person hasn't never been to my store, hasn't been to my store in 100, 200, 300 plus days, right? Let's say a year, 2 years, and that customer comes back in, it's a win. Like, they may buy a car a year from now or 2 years from now, but that experience got them back to my store. So you can't quantify all of it, but it's an incredible ROI. And Ryan guarantees it. Like, if you're on this platform and you're not getting an ROI, he's either going to figure out why, he's going to adjust the bill. I mean, that's the dealer side of what makes BizzyCar beautiful. He's guaranteeing an ROI.
Got to have happy customers.
You're talking about recalls, and that's the point of entry, but really this is a conversation about retention, right? This is a conversation about long-term
absolutely.
Relationship back in fixed ops.
Well, I mean, the first thing it's about is getting as many people as safe as possible, right? Hence the recall. Yeah. Recall recalls out there because people are driving a car that needs to have a safety or some form of an update. That's priority one. And then the benefit of that is, you're reconnecting with people and you're doing it through a recall. And I got news for you, whether it's electric, gas, diesel, you name it, hydrogen, the technology is advancing, more components. It's recalls are not going away. Like this isn't going to be the problem's not going to stop. Once we get to electric cars, it's always going to be a problem. And BizzyCar has found a solution to help solve it.
So Ryan, I want to understand a little bit about your history and how you came into this. Bob alluded to you're a dealer, which you are in Missouri, but what does the pricing structure look like for this? What does it cost as a solution?
Yeah. So my brother and I were sitting around the conference room 5 years ago when we started this thing, buying lunch for the team on Saturday. That's what you do. You're in the store. Yeah. And we said, well, what's the right price point? Most dealers will try anything for about $1,000 a month, right? That's kind of the threshold where you'll test it. You price too high and it pushes them off. You price too low and it's cheap, right? You can't get anything good for $300 or $400. So we're priced at $1,200 a month per rooftop for our core product, which is reaching out and bringing customers in. That's what dealers really want. They want impact. We do have two other products. We have one that tackles missed opportunities. You talk about just a pain point that the OEMs cringe over. And Sam, I didn't even know what this was 2 years ago. A customer comes in for an oil change and it turns out they have a recall. The decline rates sometimes are 50, 60%. You didn't manage the expectation of the customer. So they're pissed. You get dinged on your survey. It's bad. So we developed a product that on top of the outreach, now it reaches out to customers that are already coming in for service, tells them they have a recall, make sure the parts are there. That's key. You got to have the part to fix it and then adjust it on the schedule. So that's an additional $4.99 a month. I'm a car dealer. We'll bundle and save, right? We'll get you a deal. And then we have a great mobile app that allows dealers to service these recalls mobilely. I'm really proud of that one. We put almost 500 dealers on that product last year, and that's $4.99 a month as well. By the way, those numbers I'm giving you, those include your DMS integration. I hate it when vendors come to me and it's price plus, right? Yeah. We don't play that game.
So CDK, Reynolds, DealerTrack, all the major tech key on DMSs.
Plus the service scheduling tools. So if you're on Xtime, a Dealer FX, CDK service, TCC, doesn't matter. All of it's included, one price for the month.
And then you've got multiple, Bob has multiple stores. There's probably a roll up. There's probably a group view, or you can look at the entire order.
Yeah, I get it every month. He emails it to me.
Sure. Well, you get a monthly report. We do a quarterly business review. Yeah. We like talking to dealers. It is tough, when I think the hardest thing that I've learned being on the vendor side now is, one, I'm a lot nicer to my vendors, but two, you gotta get the GM's attention. If he or she does not understand what's going on, they're going to cancel you, right? You got to get to somebody that understands the P&L, because it's really easy to line item and say, we already got this. We're already doing this. It's like, no, you aren't, because this doesn't exist. And if you take my product away, your P&L is going to go down. You're going to lose profit. And I think that's what a GM should be understanding that. And the larger, more sophisticated organizations, they definitely do. But it's the small stores too, where that GM is sometimes the owner. And you get in front of the owner and you say, you need to pay attention to this. That's something I had to learn the last few years. Bob is a unique dealer. Sam, you come from a great organization. There's some dealers out there that they just don't look at their statement like they should.
Well, there's no question. And to the point we made earlier, you make an interesting point. You said, hey, now that I'm in the vendor space, I'm actually nicer to vendors. It's interesting. I came from the vendor space, almost a 20-year career before I came back into retail here at Ziegler. I'm actually harder on vendors now, because I do believe what Bob says. It's not about having a great idea or a great product. You have that. Many have that. It's about the execution and the perspective you bring with a dealer background to be able to execute and deliver on promises made quickly. It drives me insane to see vendors that are like, hey, it's a holiday. I've got my hours. I've got PTO. Like, we are laser focused in automotive, unlike maybe any other industry, maybe racing, maybe unlike any other industry, at executing as quickly as we possibly can. And those vendors that can keep up deserve a spot at the table. And it's tough to know which can keep up and which can't. That's part of the reason for this show. Bob, do you agree?
I agree. And truthfully, the pretenders will always be the pretenders, and the players will always be the players. And you'll find out who they are pretty quick.
So, Sam, Bob emailed me at 4:14 a.m. on Saturday morning. This last Saturday. I just want to make sure. 4:14 a.m. So You think I could wait until Monday to get back to him? No,
no.
That's you wake up and you better be responding.
Yeah. And that is automotive. That's what makes automotive so great. All right, Ryan, but I'd love to hear about your auto group because you are a dealer and you've got that background. And after you share a little bit about that, what are the biggest myths or the biggest mistakes most dealers make as it relates to conquesting these recall customers?
Yeah. So our family's been in what we call transportation for 100 years. So we got started off in the railroad and oil business 5 generations ago. My grandfather was one of the distributors for Volkswagen in the Midwest, and that evolved into a multi-store platform, 20 plus stores. My grandfather passed it along to my uncle and my father, and then along the way, my brother and I got involved. So I started off washing cars. Growing up, 12 years old, that's how you make your pocket money, right? And then I went off to the Marine Corps in college, and kind of everybody finds their way back home eventually. My brother runs our stores today. Great operator. He's on a few national dealer councils. He can keep up with Bob. It was
very impressive.
Kevin's impressive.
A couple times. Yes, he is.
Kevin's a great operator. And then how did we kind of come up with the BizzyCar? It was a pain point. Yeah. We identified, I don't want to just be a vendor, Sam. I want to go out there and solve real pain points. When we think about developing products, we don't just sit around the room and be like, would somebody buy this? What we ask is, what are we solving? What are we fixing? And is this an acute issue that somebody will pay? You break your arm, you're going to pay for the Tylenol or the Advil, right? Pain sells. And so we focus on that. There's a lot more we're doing later this year, a lot of big announcements that we're announcing at the end of this year. We're really interested in changing this industry in a positive way. And we look forward to sharing that with you in the coming months.
Love it. So what are the biggest mistakes most dealers make when they approach the recall business?
Yeah. Number one pain point is you can't, unless you just have a rock star BDC manager and a service advisor and a parts, it takes 4 humans to be involved. If you have perfect retention on your employees, they're well trained, you can do this manually. You do not have to buy our product. But if you have a little bit of turnover, if you have people that are multitasking, if they're focused on other things, we're the perfect solution. If you try and approach this problem with, I already got it solved, I already got it figured out, you won't win. Let us help you do it. We want to.
And you can't do it for $1,200 a month. You need 4 people. But when you add up the payroll, you just can't do it for the money he's charging. You could do it, but you pay more and you won't be as efficient.
Yeah, Bob said earlier their churn rate. We're in the single digits of people who quit this platform per year. It's really low. And one of the things I'll hear is, we're going to bring it internal. Or we already got a tool for that. 60 days later, they become distracted. They wanted to cut cost for a month. 60 days later, their OEMs calling them saying, hey, your missed opportunity rates are up. Your recalls are up. What happened? And we get the phone call and it's like, hey, how much is the product? And we know that those customers then are really with us. My grandfather always said, you sold the customer when you sold them twice. And sometimes that's what you have to do.
Have you looked at OEM relationships, a good product that brings those recalls back? Have you ever considered working with the OEMs directly and implementing it through them? So
that makes us unique, Sam. We do work with the OEMs. We actually are the vendor for Toyota, for Ford, for GM. So that one of the things that I knew we'd have to do years ago is we have to get the recall data directly from the OEM. We're the only vendor that does. And so not the contact information, that's different, but the recall data, the parts information, you got to get that from the OEM. We get it daily. So what I mean is we're not wishy-washy on this. We have contracts with these OEMs, and that's how we're doing this.
Cool. And then you pair that up with contact information, you use your technology to go out and
use the AI, push to the DMS. It's a turnkey solution. If you're unhappy, call me, 90 days in, we're going to make it right. If we got a pricing problem, we'll talk to you about price. But, we got a lot of we have, 2,000 dealers we've signed up in 4 years. We're doing something right.
All right. Well, hey, as we wrap up, what's your next big thing you're working on, Ryan? And then I'll ask you, Bob.
Big thing for us is we're going to keep pulling this thread on conquest, there's 40 million customers that buy a car from a used car dealer every year in America. We're going to make sure we get all their recalls over the franchise dealers.
Cool. Bob, fastest man on planet Earth on 4 wheels.
Hey, listen, we're laser focused on selling more, servicing more, and satisfying more customers every day. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. I love
And buying more stores.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
buying
you in
more stores.
acquisition? You're always in acquisition mode.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we're always looking for opportunities. Absolutely. I mean, I think the market's very different now than it was a year ago or a year before that, and I think it's going to be very different a year from now. So we're in a different space. We did a lot of acquisitions over the last 2 years, so we're definitely digesting that along with some major capex projects we have going on. But yeah, we're always looking for great stores. Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Is there a number once you hit that number, growth size wise, where you're?
No, we're a 4th-generation business. I got my kids getting involved. There's really no number. I mean, for us, buying them is easy. Running them is much more challenging, and you need great talent. You need great people, and we've been very blessed. And when my son or my cousins come to me with a deal, the first question I ask, who's going to run it? Who's going to run it? You know, who's going to run the store, and where do we go from there? But no, we're always looking for those opportunities. Particularly, we love the opportunity where maybe the father or uncle or family wants to retire. One of the sons or daughters are in the business, or GM doesn't have the money to buy out the partner, but would like to be with a bigger group and be a partner with us, and we can come in and take out, you know, maybe the 1st or 2nd generation and let them kind of move up. So we've done that very effectively around the country, and those are the best deals because you're investing in the family that's still there, and one generation gets to retire and the other generation gets to be part of a bigger machine, and we look for those deals.
So anyone in our car dealership guy audience hearing this that wants to reach out to you, I suppose you're probably available on social media and folks can DM you.
Yeah, you can get me on LinkedIn or you can just email me, rft@com. I'm a pretty accessible guy, and you know that we would welcome that.
And then Ryan, we'll put your info in the show notes. Anything else you want to say with regard to reaching out?
No, we're you can find us at BizzyCar.com, BizzyCar. We do a lot of 20 group meetings and OEM meetings, and would love to have a friendly chat.
Well, both Bob and Ryan, it's been a thrill, fun talking to you. And I am going to go talk to a pilot or two I know and see if I can figure out a way to beat the 818 mile an hour, because you're not in the car business unless you're ready to compete. Come on.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go.
I don't think I have the firepower just yet, but thank you both for coming in. We'll see you out there.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.